you can see that there's a slow drip here every few seconds or so. I don't know, 5 to 8 seconds. This was dripping for quite a while before we noticed that the floor was wet. So this water inlet is going to have to be removed and replaced. We first need to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws to take the plate off. Okay, once the screws are removed, the plate just lifts up. So here's the new water inlet. The existing water inlet was dripping. Let me see if I can shine a light on this. The water inlet was dripping very slowly right here. One drip like every 8 seconds or so is dripping off. You can see some white and stuff, so it was probably dripping for quite a while. So the new part is right here. Looks like there's one electrical connection on the back and then one water connection on the underneath. I already did unplug the refrigerator. You don't want to be doing this with the refrigerator plugged in. So I unplugged that, and there should be one screw to take this off, which I've already done once to get to the part number. Okay, once that screw is removed, can get to the new, we can disconnect this. So the first thing we're gonna do is disconnect the electric. So I think we just squeeze down on this, pull this apart. Okay, so there's the electric. And the red is, just so I don't get this messed up, there's probably only one way you can put this on. Yeah, actually, I guess there's only one way you can put it on, but the red over here is to the right. Now on the underside here, there is a water connection, and this plastic tube just goes in here to lock it in place. The easiest way I think to get these off, you don't need a wrench, but you just have to push down on this plastic here. So we're just going to use a wrench to push down on it. That should hopefully release it. Looks like there's a clip here that's preventing me from pushing it down. So let's pull this clip out. Here we go. So I just pushed it out with my fingers. I'm pulling the clip out. That's actually in place to prevent that from depressing and then disconnecting and having water go all over the place. So let's just remove that. Now we'll push this down and it should pop out. There it is. Okay, and there's a little zip tie here. Just want to remove this little zip tie as well. I'm going to cut this because I'm not going to be able to slide that back on. Being careful not to cut the wires. Okay, now there's a second screw in the bracket here that's holding this water inlet to the bracket. So we're going to go ahead and remove that screw. Okay, so here's the old part. Here's the new part. So now with the new part, first thing I'm going to do is before we connect it to the bracket, I want to connect the water supply. So with the underneath of the new part here, I'm just going to push this in and hopefully it'll click in place. Okay, it did. And I'm going to go put this little safety clip back in here, and that'll prevent that from being depressed and being pulled out. Okay, now with that, I will connect this back to the bracket. Okay, solenoids connect to the bracket. Now I'm going to reconnect the electrical connection. Again, the red was to the right, but I think this only goes on one way. Okay, I am going to get a zip tie and zip tie this back on. Okay, now with the electrical connection back in and the water connection back in, I'm just going to take the wiring here that was on the back side that had the zip tie. I don't have a real small zip tie, but this is better than not having anything. If you don't have a zip tie, you could just use a little piece of electrical tape. It's probably better than nothing, just to take tension off these wires a little bit. Just cut the excess off. Okay, now the next thing that has to happen, I'm going to screw this back in place. Screw the bracket back onto the refrigerator. Now the next thing we're going to do is take the rubber connection off here that's covering up the inlet so nothing gets in there. There are some threads in there. I'm going to put just a little bit of Teflon tape around those threads. I didn't have Teflon tape on that before, but since I have some here, I'm going to just put a little bit of Teflon tape around there. Also, if I did not mention it, before you disconnect the hose from here, you obviously want to turn off the water supply, and otherwise when you disconnect this, water is going to come gushing out. The Teflon tape goes on the threads the same direction that you're going to turn. You're going to turn the water supply in. This way the Teflon doesn't come off the threads as you turn it clockwise. Okay, next we're going to connect the water supply. Okay, now we're going to connect the water supply. We're going to start to just make it hand tight. Okay, once it's hand tight, you want to use a pair of pliers or a pair of channel locks to just tighten down on it. Till it's all the way tightened. Okay, now we're going to turn the water back on and make sure we don't have any leaks.